Speaker, and thank the Minister for his opening remarks. We welcome this statutory instrument, but not the basis on which it has had to be brought forward. We, like the Government, want to see our devolved institutions restored in Northern Ireland and restored immediately. And that is important for us because, as we know, there is a date looming on the horizon, the 21st of October, whereby certain laws will be enacted flowing from the Executive Formation Act, which was approved by Parliament. And those proposals, those measures, will fundamentally change the law in Northern Ireland on both abortion and marriage, and in a way which lacks public scrutiny, in a way that has not allowed for consultation with the people of Northern Ireland, and crucially has not allowed the elected representatives of the people of Northern Ireland to have their say on what kind of law we need in both of those very important areas. And this is a real challenge, and for our part, we want to be clear to the Government, and I want the Minister, if he will, to pass a message to the Secretary of State that we believe that the Secretary of State should convene a meeting of the Assembly before the 21st of October, invite the political parties from Northern Ireland to come, to nominate their ministers, to form an executive, and allow the proper functioning of devolved government once again in Northern Ireland. And for our part, in the Democratic Unionist Party, we will respond positively to such an invitation. We will be at the Assembly. We will appoint ministers to an executive, and we will get on with the job that the people of Northern Ireland elected us to do, which is to govern and to deal with legislation that is relevant to Northern Ireland. So I urge the Government, as important as this measure is this evening, it can only be of a temporary nature. It is not a substitute for local ministers in Northern Ireland taking decisions and indeed making appointments, but crucially for the Northern Ireland Assembly as the legislature in these matters to be attending to the business of making the law in Northern Ireland and making law that is relevant to the needs, the specific needs of Northern Ireland. That is the whole purpose of devolution. So we want to see a devolved government restored. We want to see that happen before the 21st of October so that we can, through the Assembly, deal with legislation related to those sensitive matters of abortion and marriage, rather than have a situation prevail whereby we have a vacuum, that the law on abortion is decriminalised, that we have no statutory basis then for abortion in Northern Ireland beyond that of legislation going back to the 1940s, and a regime which would allow for abortion for any reason up to 28 weeks, which I do not believe would be acceptable in any part of the United Kingdom. And therefore we believe that the Northern Ireland Assembly should be restored to examine this, and of course the issue as well of same-sex marriage, and have a debate amongst the elected representatives of the people of Northern Ireland as to what is relevant and appropriate for Northern Ireland, having regard to what the people of Northern Ireland want. So we want to see that happening. And therefore, whilst this statutory instrument is a necessary step by the Government to fulfil certain responsibilities that currently cannot be fulfilled by the Northern Ireland Assembly and Executive, it is no substitute for devolution. But I want to make a final point, Madam Deputy Speaker, and it is this: that if we cannot get the Assembly restored, and if we get a deal on Brexit, which I hope we will, and that the United Kingdom leaves the European Union, there are a multitude of decisions that will need to be taken as a consequence of the United Kingdom leaving the European Union, not least in Northern Ireland. And in those circumstances, and in the absence of a devolved government, Madam Deputy Speaker, I have to say to the Government that they need to start planning for the reintroduction of direct rule for a period of time until we get those decisions made. We cannot continue with the current vacuum whereby some decisions are taken and others are not. That will not wash when it comes to the crucial ministerial decisions that flow from Brexit, that flow from the United Kingdom leaving the European Union, and that are particularly relevant to the needs of Northern Ireland. And if the other political parties, and in particular Sinn Féin, are not prepared to take responsibility and form a government and take these decisions, then I say, Madam Deputy Speaker, that it will fall to this Parliament and to the Government at Westminster to start taking more of those decisions. That will be essential. It will not be optional. And when Brexit happens, we will have to, this Parliament, take on that responsibility if the political parties in Northern Ireland are not prepared to. And I say to Sinn Féin, who say they will not accept direct rule, they have an opportunity, and the Secretary of State should take that opportunity, convene the Assembly, call the parties and see who is prepared to form a government. And if Sinn Féin don't want direct rule, then there is one step they must take and can take, and that is to join with the other parties in forming an executive. And let's deal with the issues, let's deal with the outstanding matters that need to be addressed in Northern Ireland. Whatever they may be, let's deal with them. But the people of Northern Ireland want a government, and the sooner the better. Yeah.